Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. I am back. Whew, heck of a special that just aired, I gotta say. Very. I like the whole Ultra Instinct thing. It's very Bruce Lee, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Um, as you know, I don't really like to speculate on what's happening, what's gonna happen, etc. I like to see things play out and then analyze them in full context later. But I will say this. It was a great special. If y'all haven't watched it, you should. That being said, it's time to talk about what we are actually here to talk about today, and that is whether or not Krillin is being poorly written in Super. And I gotta say, I am so perplexed by people who claim this. This idea that he's somehow badly written in this series. It stems from the fact that he's allegedly being turned retroactively into a coward just because he shows fear. He's being retroactively given PTSD even though he was shown to be fine for years, therefore he can't have it. Neither of these things are true. And I want to touch on this because, I mean, this is a character that I routinely defend. And watching people who, let's be real, didn't give two craps about him until they could use it as a club to beat the series with. Didn't give two craps about him and started using this. People who wouldn't even watch these episodes when they originally aired, they skipped them. Why? Oh, they're Krillin centric. Nothing important's gonna happen. Now suddenly they're bemoaning his poor treatment. It's astonishing to me. And it's also, incredibly transparent. Like, you're gonna sit there cracking jokes about how he always dies, yuck yuck. Why do you even bother? You're never gonna be able to do anything anyway. Um, your wife should just leave you, you're weak and pathetic, etc. I have heard all of this for I don't know how long. Like, go to comment sections on just about any video with Krillin and 18 in it. You will see that stuff. Go to comment sections on any video where Trunks and Future Trunks meets 18 again for the first time, face to face since what happened with Cell, and you will see what I mean. It a lot of people, just didn't care. They did not. They don't care about him as a character. They don't care about his part in the series. But it's become a bludgeon that they can use to go after the series with, and that's a problem. And here's why. It makes no sense for him to not be scared. And what I mean by that is Krillin has consistently always been shown to be scared, downright terrified, even. Alright, and that was facing enemies, way back when. Since then, he is, especially by a certain point, especially by episode 76, he has not been training regularly. He has, given up on being a martial artist altogether. He, figures I'm so far behind now, there's just no point. There's no way I can close this gap. They were right about me. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. Why bother? The entire thing really is kind of a meta commentary, especially on Western elements of the fandom. Because oddly enough, over in the Eastern portion of the fandom, he was actually pretty beloved. He's a fairly popular character. Which is why I cannot understand why, when they translate it over here, they feel the need to make sure to dump on him in some way, shape, or form. Even Funny does it a lot of times, and that just irks me to no end. But the fact of the matter is, portraying him as being scared and even giving up, honestly, isn't that big of a leap. Because he has reached a point where, I mean, Goku just kind of hauled up and decked him once in his base form without even really significantly powering up before he did it. And it damn near caved his face in. You know, that when you get to that point where you're the farmer to someone's collective rat, it's I can understand why he'd start to think, maybe I shouldn't bother trying to keep up with this and just focus on my job. Especially since, he was getting a job. Um, and it's kind of hard, as Gohan can attest, to really focus on both. Your training and your home life. I mean, it's clearly not impossible, but it is difficult. But in terms of him having PTSD, this weird idea that because he'd been fighting for so long that him developing it there makes no sense. It actually makes perfect sense, and here's why. You don't always know you have PTSD. You don't. You don't always know that are damaged in that way. And in point of fact, it oftentimes doesn't happen right off the bat. It won't be one single event that does it. I mean, in combat in the military, people who come back with PTSD, they don't come back with PTSD after one fight. A lot of times it'll be because multiple fights, multiple altercations, multiple combat scenarios in which they were shot or they watched other people be shot and die, or it's a cumulative my bad thing that can just kind of break you eventually, and that's what happened to him. But in this particular case, what actually triggered it in the first place was seeing Frieza again. And the thing about Frieza, and well, frankly, the way Frieza killed him, is that it was very different from the other two. I mean, the first time he died, it was a fairly quick death. The third time he died, even, he was turned into chocolate. He ceased being a conscious, aware being, possibly even being alive when that happened. But the second time he died, Frieza not only impaled him, ran him through, ran him through and freaking licked up the blood, for God's sakes. But he killed him in one of the most horrible, painful ways possible. He shredded his insides before that energy finally exploded through him, and he rained down from the sky in pieces, little tiny pieces. That is a horrible thing to experience, and seeing Frieza again is what really set that off. It was not something that he fully expected. And it wasn't even just seeing Frieza again either. It was seeing him back and just sensing how much stronger he was now, and how as big as a gap had been between them back then, there was an even bigger one now, and that brought back some really awful memories, and combined with traumatic experiences since then. Yeah, I can understand why that broke him. And I see a lot of people say that if it was PTSD, it should have affected, a lot more than just situational. It would have affected his home life. It would have affected his work. It would have affected... It did. Did you not see episode 75? Things have been getting rougher for him at work. Things have been getting rougher for him at home. 18 sitting there trying to be very supportive, but at the same time, she's reaching her limit with it too. It is affecting adversely his relationship at home, his work. And it's not until he confronts that and learns to take control of it. And that's the thing that I liked about the depiction of how he handles it, too. Because he doesn't just simply, breathe and concentrate and then boom, it's gone for good. No, he just has it under control. He's coping with it more. He still starts shaking when he starts to get fearful and overwhelmed. I mean, when Goku went Super Saiyan Blue to see how he'd react, he was visibly shaking again. But he had to steel himself and remind himself, I'm in control. I can do this. This is, it's handled honestly not perfectly. I'll admit that, but especially for a shonen series, it's handled really well. It's handled a lot better than in a lot of Western media, in fact. And again, this is something I can relate to on a personal level. I live with that condition too. I do. I'm not gonna lie. I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences when I was a kid, and it has not made life very easy. But it is something that is just there, and I do have to deal with it. And seeing a character, not just any character either, but one who already happened to be my favorite character, go through that and and get control of that and take his life back. It was incredibly inspirational to me, and it was a beautiful thing. And sure, Krillin in the past had been fearful, but he still did stuff, and he does that again. It's just for a short while, he got scared. It was more than he could take. It pushed him further than he could go, and it did mess up his life, and he had to get control of it again. But that's not bad writing, not in the least, and it's not giving him a negative character trait. It's addressing it, and it's addressing why it's there, and it's addressing the fact that this has been something building up over time, and it finally broke him, and he had to pick himself back up again. If anything, I think that is a beautiful piece of his characterization. It's so nice to see him get further developed like that, and to see him, you have no idea how hard that is unless you've gone through it. It takes for someone to be able to cope with that and overcome that and pull themselves back together for their sake and their family's sake. That takes a very strong person. That takes enormous willpower. And the fact that it's his love for his family, for his wife and his little girl, that makes him want to do this. The fact that they are the reason that he found that strength to do it, that is beautiful, and it is a testament to how good and how strong their relationship is. The fact that 18 put up with that and tried to help him through that and went the extra mile to remind him, I still love you, I still care about you, putting the cream hearts in his coffee and everything. That was adorable, and that is a testament to how much she loves him. And the fact that he's willing to accept I'm not okay and I need to deal with this and actually pick himself up and put himself back together for their sake is a testament to how much he loves them. And it's just, oh God, it is such an underrated, it's such an underrated relationship, and there's such underrated characters themselves. And I just can't believe that people somehow can't see how these are actually very positive depictions and very good and frankly inspirational things to see. At any rate, that's going to do it for this one. I will catch you guys later. See ya.